So, not to really freak anybody out, but some of y'all, like, I'm thinking about doing it a little bit tonight too, just getting some little stuff. But, it's not going to get bad right now, but, the port workers are going on strike tomorrow. And I don't think people realize how big of a deal that is. Like, think about all the different things that are imported usually on ships. I said most of the things that we buy, like stuff like tissue and stuff like that ain't usually airlifted. That is usually stuff like, people buy that in bulk. They send that shit by ship. I'm like, now something else is starting to make sense to me. So a lot of people thinking that these CEOs is stepping down because of their affiliations with P. Diddy, which some of them could be, but I think some of these people are stepping down to secure their paychecks, their 401ks, their retirement, their actual money, because depending on what company, like, look at Sony doesn't only do music, but they also do handheld products, like, not handheld products, but they do products like video games. They do, the systems. If our ports are closed, you still have airways, but, I'm thinking more so, like, I don't know, that could it consists of flights too. I'm not sure, but I know that it's boats. Like, I know that has a lot to do with the ships. I was watching a news segment, and it basically said that, from this strike, the intense magnitude of what we would be losing like $5 million a day. And I think they said $7 million of the GDP, which is, I think, the gross domestic product. Y'all, this is about to feel like 2020 all over again, but different. Because think about it, when people wasn't on strike, people wasn't allowed to go to work. Well, the strikers are basically saying, if you're not gonna pay us, then fuck it. Everybody wants to be paid what they worth. And I don't think people realize, like, this is what I've been talking about. Like, look at how I've been talking about with YouTube. This is a way to kind of like tie that in. When you don't treat your workers accordingly, they can fuck your business up. Like, if everybody is in agreement and be like, hey, we're not going to work today. One day of that not happening. Like, we don't know. Like, I'm gonna be honest. We go to the grocery stores, man. Think about it. This is produce. This is the tissue you wipe your ass with, the paper towels, your paper cups, your medical supplies, like your medicines, your shit like that, the diabetic medicines. Some of this shit be coming on the ships, like, all because niggas are fucking greedy. Y'all don't want to pay people, but y'all want to just be rich. Well, you can't keep getting rich off of people and expecting that your workers are going to take those type of circumstances. We all finna be broke. We all finna be like, I don't know, man. I said, when I know my voice may not be like that big or whatever the case may be, but I do feel like some of the shit that I've been talking about, it has a lot of sense. I said, people be so concerned with, oh, we feel like you trying to infiltrate the business. Nigga, you ain't gonna have no business. Why? You're not gonna have no business because you ain't gonna have no workers. You don't run your business. Your workers run your business. You're the idea. And we're the executions. When you are a worker. I don't know, man. I don't know why people can't understand that. Like, it's finally getting real, man. Like, People are tired of working for nothing. People want job security. They like, man, it's like people are also starting to realize they worth. Like, hey, if we all decide to not show up for this today, this may not work. And sometimes it sucks that it has to go to that. But I said, man, it'll really put into perspective, like, how much people really need others. You want to know who is about to probably have, like, is probably going to shit a brick? Amazon. Like, I look at a place like Amazon, Walmart, like the big conglomerates, Kroger's, all of the. I said, y'all don't realize how much produce is not sold in the United States. I don't care, John. Like, I'm going to speak. If you don't like me, cool. You can go on somewhere. Like, I like my voice. I feel like my voice is amazing. It's the voice that God gave me. So, of course, I love my voice. I'm sorry that you can't say the same about yours, but it's okay. I wish you loved your voice like how I love my voice. Then maybe you wouldn't be a hater. It's okay, though. So I really want y'all to think about it. Like, it puts into perspective, like, stores that sell like those important products, like your light bulbs, like your CVS's and stuff like that. Like, these are going to be the places that are going to end up being affected. And I feel like it looks like that is something that could actually be affected quite soon. Like, I don't know, like, what days people normally get their trade in and stuff like that. Like, what days, like, because I think they trade every day, if I'm being honest. So I would say October would be a very interesting month. Somebody that pissed off the world's algorithm, man. Like, I feel like there is too much greed going on right now, and Mother Nature is sick of it. Like, Mother Nature is like, hey, because never in my lifetime have I seen a storm come and wipe people out like that. Like, bro, I said, you can't blame that on nothing. I said, God is merciful, but God is not nice. And I said, something is off in the atmosphere. I feel like the place that is going to take the biggest hit, I'm hearing, is Amazon. Like, Amazon is going to, like, I feel like we're about to see a deplete. Like, if this happens for real, there's going to be a depletion in some of Amazon's stock. Like, I feel like they're not going to be able to have access. I mean, I feel like HAARP is not a fake thing. I feel like anything that we have heard that is allegedly a conspiracy, nothing is conspired. Like, the word conspiracy was created by the CIA. So I'm like, if you look into that, like, I'm like, hey, if the CIA came up with the word conspiracy theories, like, yeah, I mean, of course, they're going to tell us that it's probably not true, but it's true. I definitely believe in HAARP. I feel like anything can be weaponized. I have a question, because nobody is talking about it, but whatever happened to CERN? Like, did CERN ever do what they were supposed to do? I forgot what CERN stood for, but that was that thing that was supposed to open up that portal. You know, how controlled media is? I said, I know we have a lot of budget, but it's like something that is not making sense, okay, to me. So, explain to me how wealth really works in the United States. Like, how is it that we can be so much trillions of dollars in debt, but we can raise our debt limit? How can you raise the limit of something that you already don't have? Like, these are just questions that I have. Like, Like, if we're already trillions and trillions of dollars in debt, how can we raise a limit that we don't have? Like, seriously, how can we up something that don't exist? So we're already, I'm gonna just throw a number out, $5 trillion in debt. So now the debt limit is 10 trillion. How do we up something that we already like don't have? Like, that's something that I never understood. And this is how I know that media feeds us what they want us to. Y'all, this year has been crazy with weather. Like, I know we're in hurricane season, but tornado season was fucking crazy. Like, I'm kind of with you, Mr. Bike. Like, it could be weapon generated, but I don't know. I said I kind of feel like it's God's wrath too. I'm kind of in that space. It could like, we all could be conspiracies, but I'm kind of there. I feel like it's kind of some of God's wrath. I don't know. I feel like it, because I feel like one thing with weather, like, you can't put it on nothing. Like, like, people want to say that weather be weaponized, and it could be, but it's like sometimes people just don't want to believe that is got some of God's energy. And I'll be like, God is merciful. God is not nice. I mean, I don't know. I know I've been talking a hell of a lot of shit this year, but I feel like I may tell a joke, but I don't tell a lie. I said, sometimes God gives some of us the voice to be a messenger. I mean, how you think people felt? How you think people felt about Noah? Noah got on that damn boat, though, and him and his folks was the only people that was alive. I've been telling people the weather was going to get really, really, really bad. I've been saying that all year. I said, we got the first Category 5 hurricane on the first couple days of hurricane season. That should have let people know right then that, yeah, it's about to get gnarly out here. It's like people will get on here and swear I don't believe in God. It's just like, I don't sometimes always believe in which people try to put God on me as, because I'm like, God understands you and God knows your heart. That's why you can never hide from God. One thing that I can always say that I believe in is, like, I believe in God. I don't want to get into a religious conversation because I know people gonna go left, but I feel like if you can believe in Jesus, why you can't believe in yourself? If we are all God's children and the Bible is a book that was made by man, it was not a fable. It was not something pretend that it just came out of the earth and boom, we had Bible. God gave different people messages to write that book. So if there was accounts of Jesus, what make you think that there wasn't other people that was like Jesus? That was who they wrote that book about. So if we was made in God's image, if Jesus had all those different spiritual gifts, what make you think that some of us don't have them too? That book was just written on the account of one man. Really not just one man, but that's what it was mainly focused around. But there's a lot of different stories in that book. I don't know how I feel about that statement, because even Satan was once God's child. Like, so if we're going to go from the Bible, like, I mean, it's cast out. I'm not going to say that God is not an entity, because that's what God is. It's something that you cannot see. But the one thing that people cannot convince me is that I don't feel like it was only one person in this whole entire world that had gifts like one person. I said, I think a lot of us have been bestowed with different things. But to have that knowledge and that understanding, it's not for me to really talk about, because you have to really have experienced God to really be able to say that. That's why I'm very proficient in what I say and what comes out of my mouth, because I said I know my relationship with God. And my relationship with God, some people think that is demonic. They don't think that it's a relationship with God, but because of how close me and God is, I'm like, I realize like life happens. Everything works in a cycle. Life and death are merely the same thing. They literally happen at the same time. This is kind of not what I'm trying to do today. Like, I'm not finna get into a religious like debate, because I realized, I said, even from levels of spirituality and how I've grown, I realized like nobody can tell you about your relationship with God. And I realized, I said, I'm not finna argue with anybody with how they welcome God into their life, because it's an experience. So it's like, who am I to tell you how you perceive that energy? And how you perceive that energy may not be the same as how I perceive that energy, but it's okay. You want to know something that's even more crazy that some people can't fathom to understand? There are certain things that you can learn that, I'm gonna be honest, you don't always find it in the Bible. And I feel like as soon as you say stuff like that, people get so afraid. But I realized that the Bible is a book and it was written by men. Yes, it was people's accounts, and yes, it was delivered through the spirits of others. But it's like, I understand certain things in a way to where I'm just like, everybody's entitled to have their opinion and see things the way that they want to, but I don't have to take that experience away from you. And you can feel how you feel about me and how I perceive things, but it still ain't gonna show. It still's not gonna change how God work in my life. And I think that really be throwing people off. Like, sometimes people will bully you also into being like, well, if God was on your side. And I said, you know what? Don't do that. The fact that you're doing that shows that you're not coming from a place of endearment. You're actually coming from a place that is really to try to utilize what you feel like is right over someone, instead of just letting people exist as themselves. Like, you can, look, you can write 1,000 Bible verses. I will read them, because I still do read the Bible verses when I come across them. But I don't know what your purpose is in trying to like convert me to something. But it's like, I'm gonna just let you know, it's not gonna work. Like, I am very rude. I am very solid and rooted in how I have my relationship with God. Okay. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't feel like, it's like, I feel like I have grown up in the church my whole life, but I feel like I have never experienced God until I really had to experience God by myself. And it really wasn't with me being in the church. It's like, when I was ready to have God in my life, that is really when I experienced God. And I realized, for me, it didn't really have nothing to do with church. Like, I could no people could never tell me that God ain't real, because of the simple fact that I have lived through people trying to poison me 3 times. 3 times. And I have been alive. And then I was aware that I felt like I was being poisoned, and I'm still alive. God is an experience. God is an experience. And when you have experienced God, can't nobody tell you different. Can't nobody tell you otherwise. I feel like I could read the Bible front and back, and my relationship with God would not be any closer than what it is right now, because I actually experienced God. Like, it's a difference when you read about God and when you experience God. Like, It's a difference. I could read. I don't know, man. It's like I could know math. I could be a math teacher. But it's like if I don't utilize it, it don't mean nothing. If I don't, it's like I could know all this shit, but if I don't put it to use, it don't mean nothing. My relationship with God is close than it has ever been because I actually experienced God. It's not just like, oh, something nice happening in my life. Like, it's like, no, that ain't nothing you could put that on except God. Like, for real, for real. And it's like people will get mad at me because it's like they feel like, oh, you got to be in the church. They'll be like, oh, you got to be in the church. You got to do this. And it's like, no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do any of that. You don't have to be in the church. You don't have to be in any of that. You could do yourself and be to yourself. And people be trying to make you feel some type of way. Like, that's weird. Why the police rolling down here? Like, it's like the way he rolled down here.